All right, so we get a call very often for replacement keys. So we wanted to go over two things today. We wanted to go over how to get replacement keys without changing the ignition switch. And then of course, worst case scenario, if you did in fact have to change the ignition switch. The model that we are currently working on is going to be our Vector 500cc model, but it is going to be relatively the same across all UTVs. So first, you'll notice we got the unit stripped back just for illustrative purposes. But we want to start here on our steering column. The tools that you will need, you'll need a number 2 Phillips screwdriver, something relatively thin to get in these little screw holes here. You will also need a 3/16 hex, and then just a drill just for speed purposes. But those are the two things you're going to need. So we are going to start by placing the gear selector in the low position. We found that's the easiest way to access all of the bolt holes. So we'll step on the brake, move your shifter all the way up, and now we can access all of our holes here. So we'll start closest to the steering wheel with these 2 Phillips head screws. All right, and you will notice that the plastic shrouding has still not let go of itself. Even once we remove those 2 screws, this is where your hex is going to come into play. You're going to have a screw here, and then also over here on the opposite side as well, which is real easy to see. All right, now once we have all of our screws out of the way, this plastic shrouding will just snap in 2 halves and peel right back from the column. So once we have all that plastic out of the way, so you'll notice with the new set of keys, there is this silver tag. On this silver tag is stamped a 3-digit number. In this case, it's 028. And that number can also be referenced if you need to get a replacement set of keys. If you in fact lose this silver tag on your key ring, once you remove this plastic shrouding from the steering column, you can actually see that that number is also stamped right here just inside the plastics where the key is inserted. And then of course 028 on the switch, 028 on the keys. There is no need to replace the ignition switch at that point, as we can just reference that number and send you a new set of keys. But on some of the older models, and then sometimes we notice that it's not stamped on there, we also wanted to show how to replace this switch while we've got this shroud open here. So once you have the plastic removed, it's fairly simple. On top, you will have 4 Phillips head screws, also number 2 Phillips head. And then, again, we have the unit peeled back, but behind the dash here, which can be accessed through the front driver's side wheel well, will be the connector. So we'll want to go ahead and start by disconnecting the electrical connector. And once that's disconnected, we'll then attack these 4 screws on top of the switch here. And on that last screw, we'll want to make sure we support the weight down here on bottom or it will fall. Also keep in mind that these Phillips screws do have little washers that go with them. A lot of times that gets stuck in these little recessed holes here, so make sure you're mindful of that and don't drop and lose those. Once we have that whole thing removed, and you can actually do this step ahead of removing the screws, but just unplug the horn, feed the wire through, and now you have your ignition switch removed. Of course, and once you have your old switch out, the new switch will be identical, same electrical connectors, same screw holes, and so you will just do this process in reverse for the installation.